Hello friends, and welcome back to the third and final instalment of my How to Build Your Online Poetry Platform series. Today we're going to be talking about YouTube, and then at the end of the video I'm going to do a summary of the whole series, so make sure you stay till the end for that. So let's dive straight in. YouTube, the world's biggest content sharing platform. It has been for a while now. It's so stapled in our culture these days that if you're looking to share your work online, you really need to be considering YouTube. Many people might say, but it's so big now, how can anyone new possibly grow on it? Much like I did when I first started taking it seriously. How wrong I was. You see, YouTube actually has a healthy algorithm, probably the best in the world, I would say, with my experience, with TikTok a close second, unlike, say, Instagram. By the end of the video, I'm going to be giving you all of my knowledge on YouTube so that you can go forth and tick all of YouTube's boxes. But before that, I do feel like I need to give you a bit of a heads up. YouTube is the most time consuming of the platforms that I've spoken about in this series. You need to figure out what you're going to post, plan it, film it, edit it, upload it. Then you've got to do the tags, the description, the end screens, the cards, etc, etc. And you've got to do it all at least once a week. So this platform is not for the faint-hearted. Unless, of course, you find a way of minimizing all of that, in which case, awesome. So let's get into it. So let's look at getting started. First, like I did with my TikTok video, I just want to explain how helpful it is to have poetry or poet in your channel name. This is so that when you're leaving comments on other people's videos, people who are also scrolling through the comments will see that you are a channel of similar interest to what they're into and what the video they're already watching is about. Did that make sense? This is so that when you leave comments on other videos, people who are scrolling through the comments immediately identify you as a channel with similar content to the video that they're already watching. It really is so simple, and it's something you only have to set up once, but will help you countless times in the future when you're already commenting on videos that you like, such as this one, hopefully. Then we need to look at your profile picture and channel art. Now, I've already spoken about profile pictures in my other two videos, but in case you're here for the first time and haven't seen those, here's a brief summary. Much like your name, you're going to want to find a profile picture that is going to lure people in and catch people's eyes as they're going through comment sections. So lots of colour and contrast if you can. Next, let's look at your channel art. Again, you want it to be something that's going to catch the eye, and you're going to want to put on your channel art the kinds of content that you post, maybe what times and what days you post. You can jump on Canva for this. It's a free graphics editing software. They did have a preset for this when I made mine, but I think they've since taken it down, so a quick Google search of YouTube channel art size will give you all your answers. When you're doing this, remember your branding or aesthetic. You should have a clear idea of the kind of feel you're going for now with your Instagram and your TikTok, and you do want to bring that over to YouTube as well. Consistency is key here. Next, make sure when you're setting up your channel you make full use of channel tags and go to town. Make sure you use all the different tags that you can think of that represent what you are about and what you're posting on YouTube. As well as the obvious tags like poetry and poet and poem or poems. Try and think outside of the box and also use things like poetry lover or poetry reading. I personally have many different ones, but one of them, for example, is Rupi Kaur, because I know that people watching Rupi Kaur videos are probably going to be interested in the poetry videos that I post. This is unbelievably helpful when you're first starting out, because YouTube will then recommend your channel to people who are watching videos about videos that are also related to you. You know how this works. You're not stupid. Okay, so here's the juicy part. How do you grow on YouTube? What I said earlier at the start of the video about it being impossible for new channels to grow is absolutely not true, but it is based on some very real experiences for a lot of people. It absolutely is a massive platform, and I'm going to start this section with a piece of advice that my mentor gave me when he was trying to convince me to start taking YouTube more seriously. And that is, nobody gives a shit about you until they do. I was posting my poems on YouTube for a while and got absolutely nowhere until I started planning my channel, what I was going to post, and most importantly, listen to what I'm about to say, what value I can give other people to make them care about me and in turn care about what I write. For me, I settled on how-to videos, which obviously you know because you're watching one. So I want you to think about what your angle might be for your channel. How are you going to give value to people? How are you going to help people? It's got to be something that combines your poetry and then your angle, so maybe something like conservation or mental health, etc, etc. Maybe you want to make YouTube your personal account, and if you don't know what I mean by that, please do watch over my Instagram video in this series to catch up. Or maybe you want to do how-to videos like me. Remember, nobody cares until you make them. That's a very, very important mindset to adopt for YouTube. Another incredibly useful tool to help you grow on YouTube is a plugin called TubeBuddy, as in YouTube Buddy, all one word. You do need Google Chrome for this, but I promise you it's worth it. I downloaded Google Chrome just so I could use TubeBuddy. It is totally free. I mean, of course there is a subscription-based upgrade, but if you're just starting out, you really don't need to do that. You only need the free version. I personally only upgraded once I hit 500 subscribers so that I could really push my content and continue the levels of growth, which of course I wouldn't have done if it wasn't for you guys subscribing, but it helped. TubeBuddy gives you so many different tools and metrics to determine how your channel, and it's all custom to your channel, how you can make it grow. I actually have a link to download TubeBuddy in the description below, so pause this video and do that now. The link I've provided is affiliated, which means if you do sign up to TubeBuddy, even if you just sign up to the free version, I get some cool perks and rewards for it. So if you wouldn't mind, please do sign up through my link, which is down below. I would really appreciate it. They actually have all the information on their website about what it does and how it can help you, so it would probably be worth reading through that, because I've kind of just given you a real brief summary. But just trust me on this, download it, it helps a lot. Another thing you should think about, and this really opened my mind, or opened my eyes, maybe both, if you're still deliberating whether YouTube is for you, ask yourself, who is the biggest search engine in the world right now? Google. Who is the biggest content sharing platform in the world right now? YouTube. Who owns YouTube? Google. By creating content for YouTube, not only are you sharing your work on the biggest content sharing platform in the world, you're also being found on the biggest search engine in the world, Google. Okay, I feel like I should put in a disclaimer right now. Google and YouTube are not paying me for this video. I'm saying their brand names of a lot, but they're not. I'm just trying to help you. Google will always push YouTube videos to the top of their results, purely because they obviously want you spending more time on their websites and their businesses. So if you're making great content, and content is the most important thing, but if you're making videos on YouTube, you're also opening the doors to millions and millions of people on Google. So just think on that. The potential is massive. So of course, let's talk about nurturing your community. Again, I've spoken about this across all videos now, but if you're here for the first time, here's another brief summary of that. You must be nurturing and appreciating your audience, especially on YouTube, because they're not just spending a couple of seconds reading an Instagram post or 60 seconds max watching a video. Sometimes they could be spending 10 to 20 minutes watching your YouTube videos. That is something to appreciate, trust me. Make sure you're appreciating that and you are thanking them at every opportunity. I know that without every single one of you watching this, I would be nowhere, so really, really thank you. So, now let's look at how to post. If you've downloaded TubeBuddy, they will do most of the work for you, or at least they'll walk you through it and tell you how, give you tips on best practices and stuff. They won't actually do the work for you. You still have to do the manual work, unfortunately. So let me talk about the things that they don't tell you, or at least if they do, I'm just going to quickly summarize it for you. When you're looking at what to post, it's a really good idea to find things that are happening in the moment. For example, my most popular poetry videos are the two that are about the current situation in the world. I can't really say it out loud because YouTube's policy is a little bit weird like that, and it would diminish my reach for whatever reason. But if you're sensible, you know what I'm talking about, come on. So let's say your angle on YouTube is mental health, for example. It's a good idea to post things on National Mental Health Day or month, whichever happens in your country, or find terms that are being searched for a lot. I know it sounds super corporate or capitalist, it sucks, but it's just how you're going to have to work your channel, at least just starting out. Of course, you don't have to do this for every video. For example, I would post a poetry video for every 2 how-to videos. Unfortunately, I haven't written anything proper for like a year now, which sucks, but I am going to get back to it. With YouTube, you are going to have to wear a business hat as well as your creative hat. A quick word on thumbnails. Remember that they are just as important as the video. Don't take my example. I just don't have time to really go in depth with my thumbnails. I did start on Canva, but they were just awful, so very quickly moved on to Photoshop. And as I say, I'm not sure they're even that good now. So just make sure that your thumbnails are cool and eye-catching and you'll be fine. And finally, let's talk about SEO, which stands for Search Engine Optimization. TubeBuddy actually gives you a checklist and best practices to make sure your video is as SEO'd as possible, optimized as possible. Why didn't I just say that? But one thing I do want to stress is this: make sure your description is as long as possible. Your video will be ranked higher for this alone because it tells the algorithm that your video contains more information in it than most other videos. Within that description, make sure you're dropping as many keywords as possible. For example, if I was making a video on Insta poetry, I would drop the word Insta poetry and Instagram at least 5 times within that description. You also want to make sure that that keyword appears in the title of the video and down in the hashtags, and use as many hashtags related to that keyword as possible. Sounds a lot, but it will all make sense once you come to upload your first video. And that's it for YouTube, and thus the series as a whole. YouTube is a beast, but if you do all the things that TubeBuddy suggests and take my advice, it won't be long until you've got the algorithm on your side. Also, keep in mind that YouTube has algorithmic targets. For example, it took me 7 months to get to my first 100 subscribers, but after I'd reached that, I suddenly noticed things were snowballing because YouTube started suggesting my videos to more and more people, and you lovely lot decided I was worth listening to. I now have 1,260 subs, and I only hit 1,000 subs just over a month ago, so that just goes to show how much easier it was to get those 260 subs. I think 1,000 subs is another algorithmic target because I noticed things started snowballing even more. YouTube does require 10 times the amount of commitment to making quality content than all the other platforms I've spoken about, and that is key. It has to be quality content. Speaking of quality, the most important element of your videos is not going to be a camera. Don't go out and buy an expensive camera. It's actually the audio. Please don't go out buying the most expensive camera if you're not going to then match it with audio equipment. When I first started out, I was shooting my videos on an outdated Android phone, but the first thing that I did was jump on Amazon and buy a £5 lapel mic. You probably have seen it in my older videos, and just plugged it into my phone. If you're making great content, the rest will follow. It doesn't matter about your camera. Please get that into your head. Having said that, if you've decided that your whole channel is going to be based around poetry films, don't forget I suggested a website called Pexels in my TikTok videos where you can get free stock footage and make films around your poem that way. You don't even need a camera if that's what you decide. I really hope this video helped you and inspired you rather than bogging you down. I know there's a lot to consider, but trust me, it will be worth it. So with everything about YouTube being said, I just wanted to wrap up the whole series really briefly, so here it is. Remember to always respect and nurture your community. The most important metric across all social media is not how many followers you have or how many views you have, but your engagement rate. The more likes and more comments. With that being said, please like this video and leave a comment. Algorithms. Instagram's algorithm is very harsh due to their desire for total world domination, and they will only promote your work if you post exactly the way they want you to post, meaning IGTV and Reels, because they want to replace YouTube and TikTok, which is never going to happen. However, if you take the time to learn the YouTube and TikTok's algorithm, it won't be long until you start seeing the rewards because they promote you. For TikTok's algorithm, you want to be posting, realistically, you want to be posting 3 times a day, which is a lot. But if you can't do that, minimum you should be posting at least once a day. I sort of inspired myself to get onto TikTok, and also some of you guys that took my advice following that video. I've seen how well you guys are doing, so I've now spent the past week trying to get TikTok's algorithm back on my side, because I haven't posted in I don't know how many months. It's been a while. So yeah, come and follow me on TikTok if you want to see what I'm posting and what I'm up to. With YouTube's algorithm, you should be posting at least once a week. More if you can, but with the time and effort involved with YouTube, I would suggest just once a week. You don't want to be like me and go crazy. But the reason for this is you want to show these platforms' algorithms that you're taking it seriously. You're a content creator and you're helping their platform by regularly posting. Speaking about posting so much and going crazy because you've overextended yourself, that segues nicely into my next little segment. Mental health. It's easy to get wrapped up in goals and expectations, and when we see that those results aren't coming in after weeks, months, sometimes even years of hard graft and work, it can be soul destroying. Keep in mind that doesn't necessarily always mean that your content is no good. It means that you're fighting against computers and algorithms that only understand numbers and metrics, and they have no idea about what is good art, literally. So take a breather, figure out and evaluate what you are doing and what you're not doing, and then adjust accordingly. I have been struggling with my own mental health when it comes to Instagram's algorithm for so long now. After putting in years of hard work to now be an outcast due to algorithmic changes that were made way after I'd started posting. And since making this video and series, I've really kind of evaluated things, and I'm probably not sure I'm going to be very active on there anymore. Which is of course really gutting, because despite all the hard work, yes, I've actually made some really cool friends on there and got some really awesome followers, but If I can't even get Instagram's algorithm back on my side to share my content to my own followers, it just gets to a point where you have to look after your own well-being before anything else. I've actually got a whole passage written here in the script about how I refuse to do IGTV and now Reels, and it just goes into slating it and everything. But I can't really be bothered anymore now I'm reading it. Just look after yourself and don't get too down about algorithms is all I need to say. Stay strong, believe in yourself, and don't be afraid to try new things. As artists, we're naturally prone to doubting ourselves and not believing that we're good enough. So this is me telling you, don't do that. Also, don't pressurize yourself into being a crazy bastard like me and juggle all 3 platforms. That's not really what this series is about. I'm just trying to give you as much information for you to make an informed decision and decide whether something's right for you, it's not right for you, and if you do decide which platforms you want to be on, how to do it. Take better care of yourselves than what I do to myself. Trust me, it gets a lot and it can be stressful at times. Juggling 3 social media platforms, a regular 9-to-5 job, and then just life in general. It's crazy. My name's Adam Gary, and thank you so much for sticking with me for this entire series. It's been fun. If you haven't watched the other videos in the series, I will link them up here for your viewing pleasure. If you have gotten anything from this series and you want to show your appreciation for the time, research and work involved in creating the series, please do show your appreciation by getting yourself some merch or some of my poetry collections, or if none of that interests you, I have a PayPal tip jar too, where you can put in as little as £1 or as much as 1,000. All links for that will be in the description down below, as always. If you're not in a position where you can do that, please, as I said in this video, how important engagement is, just spend a few seconds liking the video and leaving a thoughtful comment down below letting me know what you enjoyed and what you learned. I would really, really appreciate it. And I'll see you next week.